Okay, so I'm Kevin Yao, Business Director of Ragile Networks. So for this presentation, I'm going to talk about what Ragile have done for the open network. So I'm going to touch base three categories. First about liquid cooling, both the cold plate and immersion cooling. Some of the projects, some products we have done for the open network. And I'm going to focus a little bit on the NPO and the CPO. You guys probably heard about the layer package optics and the co-package optics as well. So it's a hot topic in this industry. So we already have a lot of investment in this category. So I'm also going to talk about the white box with SONiC, which is also an industry trend for both Tier 1, Tier 2 customers and other customers as well. So let's get started. Oh, by the way, if you haven't had the chance to visit Ragile's booth, so we are at C5. So we have a big booth with a lot of products showcased over there. Okay, so this is the what do we have for the last year OCP 2021. Very left side, our small booth, but this year we have double-sized the booth, so because we have more products to show off. And we have customers visit us last year. You're probably familiar with like a few more, Meta folks from different teams, mechanical teams, SI, other engineers, hardware engineers. And we are also invited, Broadcom. We are a strategic partner with Broadcom, so we have Broadcom folks visit us last year as well. It's just a few pictures as an example. So. For the last year, 2021, we also, at Ragile, we make a contribution to OCP open source platform. So basically, we open sourced one product, which is 64 port 100G for the OCP open source. So basically, we contribute to the design specification, as well as design files like schematic, BOM, PCB layout, those kind of design files as well. So we start to make contributions to the OCP open source platform. Ragile has invested a lot of, on the new generation technology research. For example, on the very left side is the 112G prototype, so which is very critical for the new generation. If you guys heard about the Tomahawk 5 generation products. So this project, actually this prototype helped us to win one customer project already for the Tomahawk 5 generation data center switches. In the middle, I'm going to talk a little more details in the next few pages, but you can see we invested both on the NPO and the CPO switches. And for the NPO and the CPO switch, we adopt the cold plate liquid cooling technology using some of the non-conductive liquid cooling. Very right side, it's called immersion cooling. So Ragile already worked with one big customer, successfully designed and manufactured a few products that was, can be used in immersion, cooling environment, and it has been successfully deployed in their data centers. As I just talked about, in the NPO and the CPO segments, we invest both. NPO side, we already have two generation products. The 25T, which we work with COBOL members, and that was exhibited last year OCP. So it's a 25.60 NPO layer package, switch prototype. We have like 16 pieces of 1.6T optical engines sitting around the Tomahawk 4, the switch ASICs. Another one was actually functional, and we can run SONiC on it. And there are some customers show interest, so they are trying to plan with us, to buy some test samples, for their internal use. And on top of that, we work with ORF, CPO working group members, for example, Intel, Broadcom. So we designed another 51T box, but this one is a mechanical demo. It's not functional yet. And for this one, it was showcased in OFC, which is a couple months ago. So it attracts a lot of attentions from different companies, different organizations. So we have this box on in our booth, as well. If you want to take a look, just stop by. We can answer some of your questions. And on the CPO side, it's just recently we announced this. I think it's the world's first, CPO switch, 25T. So we collaborate with Broadcom and our end customer, Tencent, on this box. So Broadcom engineers also support us, on site for a live demo on this CPO prototype. So if you want to take a look, we have that too. And we do have plans to build more, NPO products and the CPO products for the roadmap. A little bit more detail about the 25T NPO POC for COBOL. So it's a 1 IU box, so it can be easily fit into standard, any standard, racks. And as I mentioned, we have the 25T switch ASIC, so it supports the 112G SerDes technology. And sitting around the switch ASIC, there are 16 pieces of 1.6T optical engines. It's support DR4. And on the front panel, it has the fiber connectors from SONiC, and it supports the ribbon fibers as well. And for this prototype, actually it requires ELS, we call it external laser source. So you can see 8 of them on right-hand side and left-side side, 4 of each. So it's a QSFP form factor, so it looks like a traditional transceiver. But it supplies just the laser to the optical engines. For this prototype, we adopt a cold plate cooling with non-conductor coolant. So we work with 3M for the coolant selections. And for the system, we also have an optional BMC, so based on the Intel CPU solution. So for the fan and PSU design, we have a redundancy, 3+1 fan redundancy and 1+1 PSU redundancy. For the 51T NPO prototype for ORF, so it's a mechanical demo as just mentioned. It's exhibited during the OFC this year. So we plan to design a functional prototype as well. We'll co-work with ORF CPO working group members, hopefully next year. It's also in a 1 IU form factor. And I have to highlight here, it's the first time we do a modularized design for the CPO module assembly. So on the module itself, it has the 51T switch ASIC, sitting around by 16 pieces of 3.2T optical engines. And for the front panel, it supports 64 800G fiber connections. And we have like a 16 ESFP with blind-made connectors. It's all standardized by ORF. The similar cold plate technology cooling for the switch ASIC and the CPO module. And we also have support, Intel CPU-based optional BMC. Fan module 3+1 redundancy, and the PSU also 1+1 redundancy. For the CPO side, I think it's about a month ago. This is the first, in the world for the CPO type of switch. So it's a 2 IU system design with air cooling, very high efficiency. So actually, for this box, it supports half of the optical, interface, and another half is still the electrical interface. So from the CPO engine to the front panel, actually supports both, the traditional fiber connections, also another technology we call the flexible print fiber connections as well. So we have both solutions in our booth, we can show you. For the system design, we also support, compatible design for the multiple remote laser modules, which is similar as the ESFP modules in the NPO side. One thing, we need to mention here is, for the power consumption, we have a huge advantage here, like more than 50% of optical interconnection power consumption saving compared to the traditional pluggable transceivers. And for this box, it's already up and running, and it's production ready. So if you have any interest, we can definitely help you, for the deployment, for the manufacturing stuff. Besides those NPO and the CPO switches, we also design two types of liquid cooling switches. One is the 1G OOB, out-of-band management switch, and another one is the 100G traditional leaf and spine switch for the data center. So for those two switches, actually we co-design with our customer, and we not just only design, we also do the manufacturing for the products. So for the manufacturing, so it has to, some of the process requires air cooling, and then some other process requires, the liquid cooling testing. So we design a test tank specifically for this kind of switch testing. So for those two types of immersion cooling type of switches, we have already successfully deployed more than 500 units to our customers' data center. Okay, so as I just mentioned, for the production process, so it requires both air cooling and liquid cooling. So we have to change between air cooling and the liquid cooling. So at the very left side, you can see this like robot arms kind of stuff. It pulls out the switch from the liquid, and once we finish some replacement, doing some more work, so we can put it back in. So we use robot arms to move those kind of equipments. In the middle, there are two pictures, showing how the switches are, put into the liquid environment and doing the testing kind of stuff. Very right side is the real deployment environment in customer's data center. You can see those tanks, pipelines, so it shows a real deployment over there. Besides all those, NPO, CPO, liquid cooling kind of switches, so Ragile Networks actually has a main, products on a white box. We call it white box for the open networks. So as you can see from the portfolio, we cover all the way from 25G, lower speed, all the way to 400G. And all those products are using Broadcom chipsets, Tomahawk series and the Trident series. So we have a full portfolio for the data centers, cover all the way from TOR to leaf, spine, so all those boxes. And by the way, all those boxes can support SONiC. So if you want to use your own SONiC, that's totally fine. We have a soft team that can support you how to do successful integration. So how can we make all those successful products and projects? It's because our very differentiate core competency. So which is where our names is from, Ragile, right? Rapid and Agile. So that's what our names come from. So it means we respond timely to a customer's requirements or requests, and we also take a very active, efficient actions to meet the customer needs. So basically for Ragile, we provide different kinds of open network equipments, and we can do customization on the products and the solutions, if you have different needs. And one thing we have to mention here, because in the last few years, the shortage is a big issue for different customers. But for Ragile, we have a very high reliable supply chain. So we work with global vendors. For example, strategic vendor is Broadcom, Intel, TI, all the brands you probably know. So we have a very strong and reliable supply chain. So we make sure, for the customers' demands, we meet them 100%. No shortage for them. For those you probably only heard about Ragile, and some of you probably know our system company brand called Ragile. So both companies work together. So we have, for Ragile, we have more focus on our US clients. Ragile is more like other regions' customers. But we share some resources, for example, factory manufacturing, quality system, those kind of stuff. But on the other hand, for Ragile, we have a dedicated team. Sales, marketing, localized support, for example, product design and technical support, as well as other product team as well. So for the next few years, we have very high priority for Ragile to grow in this market. So we will continue to invest, hugely invest actually, for the human resource, capital, technical innovation, those kind of stuff for the next generation data center networks. Oh, by the way, we can do both ODM and OEM. So it all depends on customers' requirement. We can provide both service for customers. Last but least, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our high-quality JDM or ODM collaboration with a few numbers. So for the company profile, so far we have like over 7,000 employees in different countries, including US, China, other regions as well. And overall, we have like more than 20 types of data center switches already. So for this company, Ragile is quite new for the US region, so 2 or 3 years. Ragile is more than like 20 years, so we have a long history all the way from 2001. And we are actually JDM #1 with the big China brands, Alibaba, Tencent, Baidu, ByteDance, those big customers. Sales revenue last year is about $2 billion. And in the last 20 years, the overall growth rate is above 30% year over year. Some of the numbers about the products we have shipped, accumulated shipments. Trident 3 products is over 200,000. For Tomahawk 3, it's over 50,000. And the most recent generation, like Trident 4 and the Tomahawk 4, we have a huge shipment as well. So according to Gartner's report last year, 2021, on the 100G and the 400G ports, we ship over 1 million ports for the 100G and the 400G together. Okay. All right. So that's all I want to present for this meeting. And if you haven't stopped by Ragile's booth, I will warmly welcome to stop C5 so we can have an introduction for you for more products. Okay, thanks everyone.